And here we are on Romantis' side with it all tied up 2-2, best of 7. Probably part of the reason why it feels like a bit of a final as well. Some
True.
best of 7 action today. But yeah, what a series so far. Guaranteed this map and at least one more, but kind of hoping at this point we go to all 7 games. But he doesn't know it's 2 racks, and now what are we doing? We're massing lings? I have no idea.
Yes.
I mean, it is only 4 Hellions.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a good chance he's gonna get a pretty decent fight. He's looking for a surround on the Hellions in the center. He's not gonna get that. But it's all about all these lings that are about to show up in the natural of Clem. Clem with a really good response. Can he keep the door shut? For now, the answer is yes. Sure, a couple of SCVs are gonna fall. But this was a big investment. Well, a couple of SCVs turns into 7, 8 in the end. Still think that Dark needs a bit more than that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because these Hellions are still alive too, right? So they're going to keep on being defensive. Now you lose even more of these Zerglings, and this just did not work for Dark. You even started building 24 more lings before now realizing he needs a drone. So those additional lings he just built are unlikely to get too much done, unless Clem gets overconfident and maybe moves out too soon.
Yeah, I also think that Clem can just take a little moment for himself, like, wait a minute, we've been producing a ridiculous amount of units, mate, and we're not even 7 minutes into the game. This is actually going quite alright for me. It's not up to me now to make a play. And we know that kind of goes against the nature of Clem. He always wants to make a play, and he always wants to grab a couple extra links if he feels like he can. But I kind of feel like the ball is in Dark's corner to make something happen. Because if nothing happens, well, Clemus is going to have a much better army 90 seconds down the line.
Yeah, these lings run in. Marines have to lift up. They're going to back it up to the left side a little bit. Yeah, no, I mean, +2 melee starts from Dark at least. I don't know where we go from here. I guess Clem's just going to get second factory even, so he's going to already look towards just kind of continuing with the factory production as much as possible. As you see, a lot of units coming across from Clem, so he's going to go push. He wants to try and deny the 5th base. Big counterattack from Dark. He already knows that he's not looking to take straight up fights here, so he will not, as Lings and Banes start to roll on through. The Hellbats provide some good starting coverage, mind you. And that base is probably going to go down. Clem, how well does he deal with the counterattack across the map? Banes goes through. The Widow Mines all trying to burrow, but they're not going to be in time. So Clem doesn't have much defense at all. Those Lings will start to deal some damage, but Clem is also pushing through bases of Dark right now.
Yeah, but he's going to be forced to step on Crib, and that could allow these Zerglings and Banelings to get good connections. We can see the 13 SCVs have gone down, make that 20 plus, as Clem has not reacted at all to the run-by, and Dark is going to actually get on top of Clem's army on the right side. Wardy, this was about as good as it was ever going to be for Dark, wasn't it?
Yeah, that run-by really just hit at the right time. If those Widow Mines got borrowed and just clean up a few more Lings, the difference that makes would have been crazy and probably critical to this game. Best thing for Dark now is this happens just as he's ready to build up into Hydras, right? So now Clem can't put as much pressure on as Dark finally starts to get some tech units on the map. And that's stellar for Dark. That's exactly what you'd like to have happen. Clem does have a 4th base moving through. He is rebuilding SCVs fairly quickly, but yeah, those are losses that definitely sting. Dark cancels up this hatchery ahead of time, so it doesn't believe he's going to keep it alive, and that's one thing to keep in mind too. This is 4 base versus 4 base, and Dark's creep is kind of out the front, but not really anywhere else. Like, if he takes a 5th hatch, he doesn't have creep in front of it at all.
It's going to be hard. I think for Dark at this point, it's maybe time to survive, stabilize, and then either set up another run-by, because the one thing that I feel like Clem was missing was indeed the sensor tower. And now I can already see it going up. Love the positioning of it too. Because it felt like maybe there was some potential for a couple of Banelings to blow up the depots on the top side and open that door for Dark. That's not gonna happen though. So I guess it's the lurker time, infestation pit. It's gonna take a while, Waddy.
Yep. It's gonna take a little bit. It's just gonna be seen now. Look at Den. About halfway done at the moment here from Dark, so and we'll take a while to get there. Let's see what Clem can do before then. I mean, the thing is, Clem's already got ghosts on the way. You don't want to build too many ghosts before the lurkers are ready, because Lingbane Hydra is actually pretty good against ghosts. But to have a few ready, and then the ability to kind of stack up to high accounts, the lurkers come through, Clem's just so well prepared. And I think the only thing he's really missing, I mean, I see a 5th CC building, another one building now, is just starting to get that 5th base up in position, right? And that's going to be happening next, basically. So, yeah, we're going to get a bit of a longer game. And both are kind of set up pretty decently for it.
That's what Romanticide is known for. 10 Widowmines are currently in the army of Clem, and he's kind of got them just sprinkled across the map. He's gonna try to scan. He's like, well, Creep even here? Yes, Clem even here, because all the fighting has been taking place in the top right and the bottom. Dark still wants to take advantage of a little bit of leftover Creep. My goodness, that's a lot of links and bangs. And Dark gets a pretty sweet fight here. Sure, he takes some heavy losses too, but he's gonna buy a lot of time for himself.
Yeah, a couple Widowmines at the back and try and help defend. I mean, Clem is still running all the way back to his production lines. Widowmines up this ramp. Clem is having to go all the way back to the main base at this point. Ghosts are starting to fall as well, and Dark gets Lurkers on top of Clem's fourth base. How did this fight get so much done?
Yep, and that is like Lurkers without even their upgrade, so it says a lot that they are here. Planetary Fortress is going to fall. A lot of these SCVs are going to fall. Both players floating a little bit of money. Clem does feel like he can maybe take out these Lurkers, but doesn't quite get them, and two of them survive with barely any HP. One of them is very confused now about how to get home. He took a concussion, mate. Like, he's on the right side of the rocks. He's like, where did all my friends go?
He's going to be seeing this a little bit of a push in. I guess he's missing a scan right now or so. He's wanted to build a turret. Clem is having a real issue with this Lurker, Roddy. Oh my goodness.
No!
Finally scans. Well, yeah, that was a little bit problematic.
Alright, now the next time we're going to see Lurkers, obviously they're going to be a bit better because they're going to have their seismic spines upgrade, and of course adaptive talent should be following. You don't often see Lurkers without any of their tier 3 upgrades having such a big impact on the game and being able to even get on top of a planetary, right? I can't even remember the last time I saw them.
No, it's definitely something you don't see every day. I was surprised to see that Dark was so ready to jump on the army, because like he was in that build-up stage, and I think that's why Clem was kind of like, yeah, I can kind of be here too. You'll see Dark launch an attack now. Both players are kind of maxing out, right? So this is where these ghosts become valuable. I love it. You just snipe down a couple of overseers. That actually goes a long way. You scan here, and that's a couple of Lurkers that are likely to go down. One forces another on the left-hand side. Then maybe get a few SCVs. It's going to hit the Sensor Tower SCV. And Clem is going to get this clean up without too many further issues, but Dark is still poising to fight.
Oh,
that Widowmine.
well, look at all the ghosts, by the way. I mean, that's a crap ton of ghosts. That's a really good Widowmine shot indeed, but the ghosts are maybe going to get surrounded by these links. No, not quite.
No.
Clem actually does a really good job in keeping all these ghosts alive, and Dark's supply just plummeted. Sure, he gets the planetary, but at the cost of a maxed out Zerg army.
That was so much for Dark. I mean, the Widowmine hit the Banes, and then the Lings just didn't get Lurker support because Clem was able to stabilize low ground. That was absolutely huge for Clem. Dark messing up that fight big time, and Clem, he knows it as well. He is moving forward. Again, I'm still a bit worried about just the Ghost, though, right? Because it's Lingbane Hydra build, and I know there's some Lurkers. It just feels like you need to make sure those ghosts aren't going to get overwhelmed, because that can be a very quick way to take a lot of damage. This is a great counterattack timing as well.
Widowmine's going to blow up a whole bunch of SCVs, and tank goes down too. One Widowmine does get picked off. And actually, at the same time, Clem did not manage to take out the hatchery in the top right side. So it felt like the strong army of Clem, a little bit indecisive. And if one thing that ghosts don't want to do is chase around Lings and Banes that are roaming around the map, because those just move a whole lot quicker.
I'm really worried about the fact that Clem has seemingly just orbitals everywhere, right? That he's just like dropping down his replacement CCs, because then it means you don't even need that much to get harassment off, because you don't have like a planetary that can just fight back against, say, a Ling run by. So then you can just run purely Lings, and that's just so much cheaper and easier to do for Dark as well. So a little concerned about that. It might be okay in front of the base that he's looking to push forward from, because your army's going to be close by anyway, but
wow.
Yeah, something to think about, because that forward fourth base is now an orbital.
Yep, but he does have 4 Widowmines left behind, and Clem at this point has a grand total of 18 Widowmines with Drilling Claws. So if Dark wants to keep running around, he needs to be very careful. I don't know what's happening in the center of the map. A couple of Banelings and 5 Overseers. But the planetary on the left side does go down, and the other SCVs that were mining from the orbital, a couple of them will live to tell the tale. But it's 31 additional SCVs fallen. At least Clem did finally get that hatchery in the top right side, but Dark is doing a really good job in finding those openings you just mentioned. Doesn't change the fact that Clem has 16 goals though. You don't see 16 goals fall too quickly.
No, the ghosts are definitely the real powerhouse for Clem here, as I mean, there's that orbital. It just can't protect itself. So these SCVs are just going to get massacred. Clem's economy is really, really just low. He has basically nothing, so these ghosts have to start dealing some damage. I mean, I think Dog's doing the right thing. Lots of Ling, lots of Bane. Just sets of units that, you know, trade well against ghosts. Like, there's almost too many ghosts for Clem's own good right now.
Yep, and they are just running around, and that's the last thing that ghosts want to do. Like, the ghosts are so good if they can actually just fight. But Dark is doing everything other than allowing the ghosts to just get the fight that they are looking for. Those burrowed banelings, that's a lot of burrowed banelings. Maybe that's the way you can get rid of 16 ghosts. Oh my goodness, if that's the play, Wardy, hold my hand. No, Wardy.
No. The banelings, it's gonna happen!
God, it's so
I
good.
mean, I just never, right? Like, there was so many banelings, he walked right over them too. And now Dog's like, oh, you got a few less ghosts on the map. What if I build some lurkers, huh?
I'm looking at, like, I was like, how's he gonna kill all these ghosts? Well, that is one way to do it. Dark is just creating so much chaos around these maps. It feels like sometimes he's a bit reckless in the run-bys because he's going through minefields, but he's still able to get the best of it. And if those mines do fire, well, make sure they also fire at a couple of Terran units at the same time. And if you can do that 10 times in a row, that's clearly not coincidence anymore. Dark is looking for these Widowmine shots because he knows they're gonna go off. Well, then they may as well soften up the Terran army a bit too. He is playing a marvelous game. We've seen a lot of great games coming out of Dark today, but this is just another one, perhaps the best of them all.
As now we have an attack on the left-hand side. Lings just went for a mass burrow. I'm not sure if that was fully intentional or not. Don't think so.
I'll never see it coming. The Ling ambush brings me back to the Starcraft 2 trainer where you have to bury your Zerglings and unburrow them on top of a Marines. Like, wow, Dark has really paid attention in elementary school, didn't he? I mean, just when Blizzard taught us how to play Starcraft 11 years ago, forgot about that one.
Maybe these Lings just thought they were doing the lurker tutorial. As would you see? I mean, Widowmine's helping here. This is the sort of fight I don't like as much with Dark. You're getting a few SCVs, but it is coming at quite a high cost of Lings. I know obviously Dark's in the position of, you know, economic advantage right now, so maybe that's all right, but you do that one too many times and the game gets out of hand very quickly.
Wow, 828 Zerglings already. I mean, this has been a typical Romanticide game, but it's not been the kind of Romanticide game where it's like, oh, nothing is happening or it's clearly heading one way or the other. You can still see Clem absolutely win this game with that very powerful Terran army that he's heading into. You can still see Dark just completely run away with it one more time after getting another miraculous fight. It's even getting Neuroparasite at this point, as Clem is floating over a command center deep into enemy territory in the top right side. And it's going to receive the bad news that there is nowhere to land.
It's definitely an issue, right? That Dog's already comfortable enough to take those bottom left and top right bases. That's a big problem, as you can see Clem's just running for the choke points. Things are going to start catching up in a moment or two. I mean, Dog actually runs through the choke for a little bit, but yeah, these lurkers should be pretty good here, right? Surely? I mean, if they get a chance to fight.
They should be very good, but it at least kept the Terran army at bay, and that prevented Clem from being able to save that base. This makes it so awkward now. Dark wants to get the 2-for-1 special. He's like, I heard this is Zerg side, have it your way, as he gets that planetary fortress too. 41 SCVs, and those lurkers were so annoying. Wow, I am so impressed by how Dark is playing, Wardy. This is really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fantastic. He took, you know, slowed it down, took some bases. And then when he came back full force, and he took a fight that absolutely is just game deciding, right? I mean, that economy of Clem is now just non-existent. All Dark needs to do is probably clean up this one standing army of Clem, and he's good, and he can take his time about it. Like, he doesn't have to defend the top right because he's got the bottom left as well. He's already ready to fight though, Roddy. He's going to run straight on through. These Banelings are going to get active, and Clem's going to have to lift up and try and run the heck away.
We are almost at the moment where 1,000 Zerglings have gone down, and it's still not enough, as Dark is still at 178 supply. Clem is forced to tap out. GG. No, that was against Gabe. We saw a lot of roaches. This time Dark is also dropping a roach warren, as Clem is starting Cloak, but actually has a Viking on the way, Wardy. Now sometimes you still go Viking into Banshees, right? But it's worth to keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely a possibility, right? And Banshee would be great here because of that roach warren being down. Generally is going to give you a good little setup. He is going to start the Banshee, so we get an idea of what Clem wants to get up to then. Banshee's I mean, that's just what you want to see. If you want to see a longer game between these guys, I think the Banshees are the way to get this because it's just going to keep Clem safe enough that he's not going to fall down dead. Whereas if Dark sees the Banshees, he can usually turn around and maybe mac her out of anything if it was looking to be more aggressive. This.
Maybe we can see some tunneling claws and Burrow. I mean, the man has been getting a lot of value out of Burrow today, that's for sure.
Yeah. Most definitely as our Banshees make their way down the south. 1-1 upgrades on the way in from Dark.
Melee, actually. So, I guess we're gonna... There's gonna be some Ling Ravager Bane then?
Yeah, kind of like the Roach, just like Roach opening into the switch. Ooh. It's gonna be cool for Clem because he might be able to scout Bane Nest and the Infestation Piston. Okay, Infestation Pickup blocked as these Banshees are just putting in some serious damage. Only 2 Queens left over here. And sending the other Queens across to try and intercept into the natural. The Overseer stopped chasing. Am I crazy? Clem doesn't even realize that he's trying to run his Hellions away.
Yep, he was microing the Hellions. He was trying to prevent that hatchery from going down. Wasn't quite there, but the Banshees still make it into the main base. And well, the Queens is still a bit out of position. Wow, 13 drones, Waddy. That's a lot of drones. Dark had enough of it. He wants to find some counter damage with a couple of Zerglings. Gets in there right before that depot goes down. Let's see if Clem is paying attention. I feel like a little bit late there on the SCP pool, but yeah, it doesn't lose too many. 6 it is, or 5.
Nice for Dark, though, to get back a little bit of damage after taking so many shots. I mean, last time we talked about 12 or 13 drones dying to Banshees. That was the first game of Serral Special, right? And it was a case where we were like, oh no, Serral's in some real trouble here. And yeah, generally that amount of damage does mean real trouble. Only 1 Banshee left coming in now, and they get a couple more shots off. And just get a couple more drone kills, so again, just handling that well.
Clem's being really annoying with this Banshee. Wants to get one more, and Dark had more than enough of it, but there is not much he can do about it other than just leave an Overseer on its tail and just keep track of it. And that fourth command center is a little bit exposed, but there are a couple of Marines to keep it safe. These Marines are going to make it. At the same time, the army's getting close to each other. Crossbow does connect with a medevac, I believe, and a couple of Marines, but Dark's going to be forced to give up in his base immediately. The Infestors have almost energy for Fungal. Very important scan there by Clem, because now he knows Infestors are out.
Yeah, great information to have here, of course, is Dark gets a couple of Banelings on the Marines on the other side, but giving up the 4th hatch is already trouble for Dark, typically. Let's see what these Infestors can do. Nothing just yet. They can't get in range. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is just the damage the Banshee does, right? It just makes it so hard for Dark to be prepared for this attack. And then you have to give up your 4th base, and now we start talking about Dark having to play from behind.
Yeah, feels weird. I mean, it's nice to have such an early hive, but can't really do much with it. Dark has been supply blocked a few times too. Now obviously he's supply blocked because he lost a few Overlords, but none of this really does help. And even though Clem went for the 8 Rex, it's not like an 8 Rex 3 base all in, because he did drop that 4th command center. If those links would have been there like a split second earlier, I actually think Dark would have just clicked it down, because the Marines weren't in position at first. Can we see a magical Fungal maybe from the high ground? Feels like the Marine count isn't that high. That's not a bad Fungal. A couple of crossbows will land. Take care of the tank at least.
Yeah, that was a good growth actually. We kind of landed exactly where it needed to be, but Clem just had the support he needed. Yeah, one more would be amazing, and he hits it again. Nice from Dark. Those Fungals have some crazy reach from that high ground, Roddy.
Yes, they do. Tank goes down, crossbows, overkill, as the tank is no more for this world. But during all of this, Clem has been able to very comfortably get up to 4 bases. Dark has no units in position at the top side whatsoever. He may know that it's there, but he felt like there was nothing he could do about it. No, as long as it's not a PF, maybe there was something that even just standlings could have done about it. But Dark is busy keeping the main army of Clem at bay. And Clem will just use that time to make sure that that turns into a planetary fortress. His game and his life will become a lot easier.
Yeah, Dark's maxed out, but I feel like his army isn't really going anywhere. Like, Adrenal Glands is coming through, and it feels like that's about it. And a lot of the time, his army seems like it's being chased away. Now he turns and gets a fungal growth off, and now the Banelings are able to connect a little bit, but Clem is still chasing. The Infestor is in some trouble too. Can he land a concussive shells on it? Dark turns around to protect his Infestor, and he does keep it alive.
187, but I'm with you. It feels like we've seen him at 160 supply, and then the army felt more intimidating and bigger. We have 104 Zerglings. A lot of them are here, definitely not all. It's going to be enough to dive on top of this army of Clem. He finds the tank. Clem is still being annoying in the left side. Gets another cancel on the hatchery. That's like the 4th or 5th cancel he's had. Blinding Cloud would actually be nice here. I don't hate a parasitic bomb either. Double parasitic bomb it is. Clem does keep his medevac safe for now. Look at that choke point. We can spam Colossal there for days.
He's going to lose some production, right? These barracks probably don't survive this. He's going to drop the depots, almost inviting the units in. He's like, yes, please let me kill a few. But that's going to mean some of his SCVs are in trouble too. Somehow only 9 going down. Feels like it could have been worse.
The orbital.
As Dark, I mean, the orbital is actually going to start hurting a lot. SCVs start to repair it. Clem's realizing he kind of needs to be out on the map to engage these Ravagers. He does kind of find his way out, but he doesn't jump on the fight.
That was crazy. I've never really seen that much of a choke point there. The SimCity really kind of working against Clem. And eventually Doc did kind of run out of units, but he has built enough Lings and Banes behind all of this. I feel like I would like to see another Infestor. He does have one. Another Parasitic Bomb could be useful too. Lands a Fungo on a couple of the Marines in the front. Not as big as it was before. But is it big enough to take care of these tanks with the Ravagers? The answer is yes. Well done by Dark again. Man, his spellcasting is so good today.
This Viper's just waiting as well, just waiting for the right moment to use their energy.
Goes.
Let's see what happens. EMP lands, so they're not going to have that energy any longer. Maybe should have used something sooner, but now double kill on the siege tanks as those biles drop down. Tank fire covering the Lingbane Ravager forces. Another tank over here going to start falling, but there's so many tanks. Like, it's just layers deep, the tank defense.
Yeah, but this orbital this time could maybe fall because that's still so many Ravagers. The orbital does live as Clem is quick enough to repair it. Well done. I'm just amazed by the amount of units that sometimes it's like Dark is like, hey, is this it? And then he's like, no, this is it. And you're like, well, that's a lot. And then he gets a good fight immediately. But he did lose the one Infestor he had. And I don't know what the Vipers are up to. And they're gonna go back to the hatchery on the bottom side. They're gonna get some extra energy. Would have been amazing for Dark to just get one more Parasitic Bomb off, as a lot of these medevacs are low on HP at this point. And the last thing that Clem wants to do with his current economy is to rebuild all these medevacs.
Snipe going down, picking off a Ravager, I believe. Now the Lingbane going to come on through here, and he does okay until he gets in range of the tanks. Splash damage turning it around. With the older cabin coming up, Dark is continuing to progress this army. These medevacs are all low as well, so the split on the Parasitic Bomb had to be really good. Otherwise, you're going to lose a bunch. And man, once more, Dark is just so good with those vials.
Now immediately Dark just fires up 50 Lings. It feels like every single time that he feels that the ghost count is starting to get pretty high, he doesn't want to go for the tanky units anymore. He just wants to completely overrun it as he drops another Parasitic Bomb. That is a perfect split up by Clem, but at the same time we already have Lings, Ultras and Banelings looking for that planetary fortress on the top side of the map. And I think that Dark will get what he's looking for, and perhaps a whole lot more as a couple of SCVs are going to go down. Good job there by the one ghost holding down the line. Successful attack by Dark. Gets a base, gets 13 SCVs, and gets a couple of tanks too.
And Dark just at this point has the economy to do it, because what has Clem done to slow him down at this stage? Nothing in a few minutes. Clem has just been running around from one of his bases to another, trying to hold that army of Dark off, so Dark just continues to dictate the pacing of this game.
I feel like he's so good in realizing when Clem's army is not as mobile as Terran armies can be, and then he immediately takes advantage of it, right? It's like, ghost in the bottom right, bam, then I'm gonna go for that planetary in the top. And he's very heavy on the Lings and Banes. Needs to be a bit careful. There's a couple of Widow Mines. Get good shots off, and the tanks got some really good shots off too, but still plenty of Banelings left over. This time it's not a planetary fortress anymore. It's just an orbital, and that means these SCVs have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. I gotta say, Clem is doing a good job in making sure he doesn't lose more than he's supposed to. But the planetary fortress on the right side is under a lot of fire too. Can Clem keep it alive? No, the final Banelings blow this one up too. Dark is just putting on a masterclass on how to play Zerg. 2 Ravagers are gonna try to get the orbital. They won't succeed in doing so. But my goodness, Waddy, how good is Dark today?
And Dark looks phenomenal today. Honestly, he leveled up after those first couple of games against Hero Marine, and he just kept it going in this series against Clem. And right now, running forward, Clem is going to have a few ghosts trying to drop some snipes and so on. Dark is going to chase him back. Ghosts are going to be dropping dead. I think Clem's going to have to tap out the first time he's lost a TVZ series in months.